The government's brief description of the cryptocurrencies bill in the parliamentary bulletin, that the bill that will be introduced in Parliament in the winter session, has worried the nascent crypto trading community because it speaks about prohibiting all private cryptocurrencies but allowing for some exceptions. We tried to get more details from the Finance Secretary T.V. Somanathan, and this is what he had to say, just a brief word about cryptocurrencies.
Beyond saying that it will not be legal tender, which I'm absolutely certain, I don't feel in a position to say anything more because it's an evolving situation. Drafting is going on. Something will come at some time to Parliament, and then you will all come to know. Definitely not legal tender. Gold is not legal tender. Silver is not legal tender. Alcohol is not legal tender. Tobacco is not legal tender.
Okay. Well, so what we do know so far is it won't be legal tender. What we don't know is, will trading be allowed at all? We also do not know what is the extent of money locked in cryptos today and how many people have put in their savings. What we also should know is what may be the dangers if cryptocurrencies trading is allowed, and contrary-wise, what is the downside of banning it? For all these questions, I'm joined by two economists and two people from the cryptocurrency community. Dr. Pranab Sen, former chief statistician and former chairman of the Statistics Commission. Anant Nageshwaran, former member of the PMEAC, a financial sector expert. Satwik Vishwanath, co-founder and CEO of UnoCoin, which is a crypto trading exchange. And Sumit Gupta, co-founder and CEO at CoinDCX, also co-chair at the BACC. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on CNBC TV 18. Anant, I want to come to you first. You know, we are constantly getting this refrain that it will not be legal tender, giving the feeling that it may be allowed as an asset. Now, if something is allowed as an asset, is it not possible that it will be used as a medium of exchange, even if not legal tender?
Not sure if you can have it function in the role of a medium of exchange. I mean, yeah, you can exchange an asset into cash. And to that extent, yes, it becomes an indirect legal tender. And that is what the people who launched a DAO bid for the US handwritten copy of a US Constitution were trying to do. Okay. So you might say that if it is permitted as an asset, it can be exchanged into a legal tender. But I think at this point in time, we have to understand that in the global scenario as well, regulating versus banning crypto is still an evolving story. And I think probably based on the limited views that you showed from the finance secretary, it probably is as good a via media as India could arrive at to start with. So, yeah, I don't think it becomes a medium of exchange directly. I mean, every asset eventually has to be converted into something which is a medium of exchange. So definitely it is an indirect route there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just my point is that for international exchanges, someone wanting to buy an asset abroad, you know, this could be used as legal tender in that sense, as a medium of exchange. Well, before that, Dr. Sen, I would assume that you will have more sympathy with the Reserve Bank point of view. Are you worried as much as the Reserve Bank is that its introduction can mean financial instability?
Yes, it can, Laka. It certainly can. The real issue here is what can you do about it? I find it very difficult to imagine how trade in cryptocurrencies can be stopped. You know, you can ban the exchanges. So our two other co-panelists can actually be banned from having a crypto exchange in India. But the crypto world is such that all you're doing is you are shifting the trading to an offshore location, which means that if you really want to be effective in terms of prohibiting cryptocurrencies, you have to work on the foreign exchange market. And what that may end up doing is taking fairly regressive steps in terms of our foreign exchange laws.
Yeah, I take your point, sir. that LRS, the liberalized remittance scheme, which allows 250,000,
Exactly.
I think they will have to go after that with, police dogs almost.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that LRS is something the Reserve Bank is watching. But let me come to the other side. As you point out, how can you ban something which is happening out there in cyberspace? You only probably banning the exchanges. On that point, Satwik, first to you. Is it even feasible, or do you think we will drive it to a point where the government will and the RBI will lose even more control?
Yeah, see, the transactions on this Bitcoin or any other blockchains happen on the internet. And as long as someone have access to internet, it is technically impossible for anyone to stop them. It is again not like online banking service where you can ask the bank to stop them. But here crypto works without a third party. So because of that, trying to ban it is a very futile effort, is what I think. And if it was that simple, I don't think we would have come this far already. Okay. And I don't think a lot of other progressive countries would have taken the steps, whatever they have taken, about how to regulate it and how to make sure it is used for as much good as possible. So yeah, it just cannot even work. As long as someone have internet, they will just be allowed to, they will be able to send and receive, and no one would know.
No, that is true. That is true. But the Reserve Bank has another Brahmastra, which some of your community took to the court and got nullified. The Reserve Bank can still tell its regulated entities not to have any truck with exchanges. Anand Nageshwaran, there is a way, isn't it?
Oh, yes, I think so. See, at the end of the day, definitely the regulatory authorities, Satwik made a very interesting point. If it was that simple, it wouldn't have come this far. Yes. That itself is a very interesting concession, that it is a complex arrangement. And a complex arrangement is one where I think none of the industry participants or outsiders or regulators have any idea of how this could grow into. So right now, for example, the government of India might say it is not legal tender. But the more it allows it as an activity, regulated or not, somewhere down the line, it can grow into a pressure and to be made into a legal tender. So therefore, I think if some countries, including India or anybody else, decides to take a safety first attitude and stop its regulated entities from allowing from participating in this, to that extent, it does keep it as some sort of a dark matter activity, and by definition it would be restricted. But then allowing some citizens to participate in it and being able to track it for the regulator is probably a smarter thing to do, to see who is participating and to what extent. So I think regulators also are learning as much as the market participants are, but you are right, it is possible for countries, because eventually it can sort of grow into a threat to the state monopoly on currency. And therefore, if some of them decide to deal with it with a very heavy hand, so they have a few trump cards that they can play right away, and you can't really blame them for doing so.
Fair point. Anand Nageshwaran, you and Dr. Sen are making that important point that the Finance Secretary himself said it is evolving and the bill is getting drafted. So it is very much open to influences, and it may remain that way, because this technology is evolving so rapidly that the bill will never get finally written, but it will be perhaps in a state of improvising, even if it were to permit activity. To come to you, Sumit, Anand Nageshwaran makes the point that it would be better to allow it and regulate and track it. Look at the audit trail. Is that really possible? Do you all know who is selling in your exchange and where they got those coins in the first place from?
Absolutely, Lata. It's very much possible. All the exchanges in India have a proper KYC standards in place, which are similar to what other financial institutions follow. So every exchange has these processes set already. Any user that buys and sells from these exchanges, we have the proper data, and the data can be very well shared with authorities if they want to see if people have actually paid taxes on that. And this is the right way, I guess, regulations will also allow these exchanges to have a standardized guidelines that will also help government to understand who has bought what value and are they paying taxes on it. If someone is not doing the right activity, they can be curbed down. So regulations will stop all the bad actors from being a part of the ecosystem, and will only allow innovation to happen. So regulation is the right way forward. On point of cryptocurrency, I think one of the confusion that people have is the word currency.
No, 1 minute. Sumit, don't get into that. Don't get into that. I want to stop you and ask you a counter question before that. You said you guys do all the KYC and audit trail as possible. But I had it from one of your community that you don't know from where people who are in your exchange got the coins in the first place from. You know, a person who is buying on your exchange, you have a trail. But someone who has got it from a private pocket, who probably has got it from some global broker and got it transferred into the account in your exchange, how will you know the source of his crypto coins? He is not bound to reveal it to you. And other exchanges, like you said, they do not know the source of the coins for people who are selling it on their exchange.
So that is where regulations will also solve that. One, there are various tools out there which are on-chain transaction monitoring tools. On those tools, you can completely trace right from the genesis block where the transaction is moved. In fact, this is one of the benefit of blockchain technology because it is so transparent. You can actually very well see how the coins have moved on the blockchain, which is not possible in a traditional fiat currency.
You would agree, Satwik, that for instance, at the point that Dr. Sen was making, who has spent all that liberalized remittance limits of $250,000 and bought all those coins from somewhere? Will that also be traceable?
See, what we can know is if that trial has some kind of connection with any kind of illegal activity or some kind of hacking in an exchange or any issues that has happened like that. So that is definitely we can know about it. But we don't have a technology to say that, okay, Mr. X is putting 1 Bitcoin into his wallet and we exactly know it was John Darker, who whatever is the name of the person in Europe who sent it to him. I mean, to that extent, it's impossible to get it right now. But also, again, like Sumit says, the regulations is what we will really need. There is a concept called travel rule. So which says that when the money is moving from one country to one country, what kind of information it is supposed to have along with the money for that to be getting credited to the receiving institution. When that comes in place as well, then yeah, even this will be possible. So technically, I believe we have the solutions in place. And on another small thing, if I may highlight here, these kinds of regulation will only restrict good guys to do something. And if someone had the intention of doing something wrong with crypto, I don't think this regulation will stop them anyway. And cryptos will just get transferred on the internet without anyone's permission. So it's not enforceable. It is just a futile effort.
A fair point that those who are determined to use it and use it for negative reasons will do it even with the regulations. But, the counterpoint which people are arguing, like the RBI governor, once the imprimatur of the state comes that it is regulated, even otherwise cautious people will jump into the fray, and that might become more difficult for the Reserve Bank to control or the government to control if there were a severe downside. Now, those questions after the break. The cryptocurrency bill is still in the stage of drafting and is evolving, is what Finance Secretary T.V. Somanathan told us. And now is the time for all good men to give advice to the government so that we write a good law and keep it evolving in the right direction. I have with me 4 people who will be able to help in the process: Dr. Pranab Sen, Anant Nageshwaran, Satwik Vishwanathan, and Sumit Gupta. Gentlemen, thanks for your patience. Dr. Sen, what would your advice be? To allow or to first do some groundwork, keep it temporarily banned, do the groundwork of, all the artificial intelligence on LRS and bank transactions? What's the advice?
As I said, I begin with what I said and said that, the ban simply doesn't make sense.
Okay.
It can't be enforced. But let me go on to the real issue is what Anand raised, which is that cryptos as assets rather than as fiat currency. If you look at it that way, then one of the things you can and you should be doing is that any institution that is fiduciary or quasi-fiduciary should not be allowed to transact in cryptos. Because what they are then going to have is a risky asset which should be barred for fiduciary reasons. Okay, that I think should be the starting point. So if you have crypto exchanges who are willing to transact between rupees and cryptos, taking the risk upon themselves, I don't inherently see anything wrong, although there will be monetary consequences, which the RBI will have to take care of. But as I said, even that the RBI cannot, unless they clamp down on the foreign exchange market, which would be a very, very regressive step.
I take your point, sir, but I'm not so sure that, I mean, even now, banks have got the scent of the Reserve Bank's thinking in no uncertain terms. So I don't think anybody is leveraging for, trading in cryptocurrencies. I don't think anybody will do any margin trading there or even give loans. But, of all the retail loans that have grown, which category has grown the most? Credit cards. Of all the loans that have grown, which loan has grown most in terms of risk? Unsecured loans. So there is a very good chance that already people are loaning and buying or trading cryptocurrency. It's possible. The LRS limits also seem to be indicating that, though it is difficult to jump to that conclusion. Anand Nageshwaran, therefore, what would your advice be? Go ahead with... yeah, please.
Yeah, it's a good point that you raised that while Dr. Sen was very correctly saying that one shouldn't be allowing the regulated institutions to be encouraging this in any form or the other, but there are indirect ways of doing that. And that is where we come to what Satvik made an interesting point, that people who want to beat the law will always be doing so. But then by the definition, we shouldn't be having any crime-related legislation at all. But so I think that's a sort of a road to nowhere. But the point is, if RBI does indeed notice that, as you said, unsecured loans and credit cards are becoming conduits for raising credit, which in turn to participate in speculative activities, then by saying that these investments can be allowed only for certain high net worth individuals, that gets a bit diluted. Okay. So then you are willy-nilly forced to therefore step into the area of then regulating even the issuance of credit cards and the
macro-prudential, we call them, don't we?
So then that sort of becomes a sort of a never-ending road to more and more regulation. Than banning it outright looks like a cleaner alternative. Okay. But then, as we said, this is something all of us will be wiser in hindsight in terms of criticizing the government, no matter what it does or doesn't do. But we have to be aware that we, as well as them, all of us are in the dark, literally, in many ways about this. And therefore, we will have to be prepared for some regressive as well as forward movements going back and forth before in the next 2 or 3 years we arrive at a fairly functional system. So it is going to be learning by doing.
Okay, as well as unexpected surprises, unexpected shocks as well.
This is ripe for unintended consequences.
Oh yes, that's the word. Satvik, is there an idea of the size of the traded volume as well as the amount actually spent? I mean, we may say it is $2.3 trillion globally, but that is only the market cap. Actually invested amount may be in billions of dollars. What is the money at stake in India, you think?
So, the recent numbers that I happen to see with our association is in terms of about 49,000 crores. So that is the amount of the rupees that has got invested into the crypto. Okay. Various crypto companies and various crypto tokens and coins.
Okay. Well, this is not on the card, Sumit, but in case they ban it, say, temporarily or whatever, there should be a handover time when people will be allowed to cash out, you think?
Definitely, the government will give a time period window. But the interesting thing to see here, Lata, is that if government is asking everyone to sell, who is going to buy? Yes. The prices will literally go to zero. Because nobody is buying, everyone is selling, and exchanges are basically the facilitators, where people can buy and sell. So that is basically the challenge. If government bans it, the entire amount that is invested
I'm not buying that argument. You began by saying that this is happening in the net. So a lot of people are going to buy over here and sell elsewhere.
Yeah.
I am not quite sure that there will not be another side.
That will give
Yeah.
that will give rise to a different sort of economy. That is where
Fair
it will
Which way
But on
we don't want
exchanges.
it to go, where we don't want it to go. What is the
and
golden mean?
all the legitimate investors, their money will go down.
Yeah, that is true. They will be the ones who will see a dwindling of wealth.
Yeah.
Satwik, one last word on the golden mean that the government can adopt.
See, if we try to solve everything at once, I definitely don't think we will get it right. And crypto industry moves at a much faster speed than like the rest of the IT or any other industry we can think of. About 1 year ago, we didn't know that there was the DeFi will be famous. About 6 months ago, we didn't know that there's something called NFT will be famous, etc.
Yeah, that's right.
So it will definitely be a never-ending catch-up game. If there is like one set of rules and regulations that we write today and try to enforce it for many decades to
Fair
come.
enough.
So I think there should be a small part of the group from the regulator itself who will be up to date about what's going on and try to amend their regulations and be there. I mean, that's the only way this will
I
work.
can tell you,
There is no golden hour.
I can tell you, Satwik, among the regulators, I have been astounded by the amount they know about an issue which they have to regulate. It's an astounding level of knowledge. Unfortunately, Satwik, I'm out of time, but we will have many occasions to foregather and perhaps debate about the evolution of this space and the laws that will regulate or not regulate it. Dr. Sen, Anant, Satwik and Sumit, thank you very much for making us that much the wiser on this extremely complex issue.